Okay, so I'm someone that finds the idea of living like cavemen's very, very interesting, right? So why is that? Basically, you say you have a caveman right here, and you compare it with a person. Basically, it'll increase this size, right? So you have a caveman over here, which is like just like how you imagine a caveman to be like very dumb. Well, dumb is not relevant, but to be honest, but what is relevant is how they used to live, right? We have a normal person here who lives a normal life right now. They are very well anatomically the same people, but their environments is what differs, right? So, well, they were not dumb, by the way. Like, it's just the environment that influences people, but that's irrelevant again. What is relevant again? So, what is environment? Let's say, let's list down the environment of these people and what the environments that we have at the moment. Okay, so what differs right now is the main thing because why in the first place? I'll list down why in the first place why you should do it. The first point is basically simple. Um it's just because there's a big difference, right? So what's basically happened is in the last 1800 years, oh I'm so sorry, like in since the 1800s there's been an exponential increase in technology and changes in our environment. It could be the air, it could be technology, it could be water. So like everything's changing, right? And our bodies have not been prepared for this. They've been prepared, they've just been going on with the flow of a normal human, right? So what this means is, let's say you have, say, a person in 10,000 BCE, right? Or 100,000 BCE. That's the same, almost the same. So how, like that person with the 90,000 year difference, the environment, the temperatures, the air qualities, right? In general, by the way, everything almost would be the same. But what you see right now is, let's say, 3000 BCE, right? The environment, the air, the technologies, the atmosphere, like everything around us has changed so fast. It's almost incredible. So our bodies have not been prepared for it, obviously. So what basically happens is it creates a gap in what our brains feel and what our bodies see, right? So bodies are like have adapted, like the human body, very specially, it adapts to almost everything, right? And that's so special about us that it still carries on with all these changes. Like this blue light that's emitting into my face, it has never seen it. It has never really seen it in its own life, my brain. The brain has moved on for like millions of years, right? And in those million years, it's never seen blue light emitted this way, in the way that this light is very well emitting off of the screen and going to my eyes. And it's never seen that. However, it still adapts. It still can, um, it can still be fine with it, be fine with changes in its environment. So what else has changed? Literally, like there's the different part, which is a segue, not a segue, but it's a um tangent that we're gonna go off is this the effect that the social media has over our brains because it's so targeted, um it's just so evil, and it works very well against our brains, and it tries to manipulate and take use of our brains. They just literally unconsensually do things to our brains, which is very well not cool, right? So what the first one was basically, um, our brains are not prepared for this change, and like a lot of, but still, it's not perfect, right? Our brains are not perfect. So the changes, you will see them. reflected upon on yourself. You like you look at yourself, you're not a healthy living human being, you're not very, very happy, or you have very many problems in your life right now. And basically, not everything's perfect. But if you look at it, like a normal caveman, they had a pretty normal and happy life, right? Even despite of all the challenges they faced, like literal, uh, like predators onto them, with food shortages, they still were able to be happy. And this is more so not, you can just like imagine them, right? Like what would really make them sad? There were like many things, little things that made them happy. Maybe it was, and there was never really time to even be sad, right? Because being sad meant you're gonna die. So this is how our brains naturally are, and that's something you just like can't ignore. But that's how they have evolved to be. And right now it's so much different, and the brains are not adapting, and they're going to crises because of this. I myself have gone to into many crises in my life, even though I'm literally just 19 years old, and there's been so many crises. Like where I've been so deep down in the trenches, like it's like almost horrifying even thinking of them. I mean, it's not that bad, but still, it's just what it remains in your mind. The remains in your mind are really horrifying, and just how it would make them to be. But anyway, so what the first one was that our brains are not prepared. So basically, the brains are not prepared at all for this, right? So you will face very well. You face the consequences, the changes, consequences of the changes, right? And what this leads down to is not good things. That's one thing, right? So basically, what the difference between these two? It's not good, right? So what do you do about it, right? So I've blathered on about what the problem is. So what do you do about it? You try to be like the caveman, right? So like he's wearing some clothes and he's wearing like a suit and tie, right? Not a very good drawing, that's for sure. You can see the difference, right? He's like a very, and he has very scrappy hair. So you try to be like this person over here and how they used to live. And now there are very well many nuances that arrive because it's not very practical to live exactly like a caveman, but you can arrive at very simple places that don't don't want you to like act like them fully. So there's a few things. The first one definitely is whatever you see that's artificial, you might want to research on like how what the caveman, or maybe not even research, it's pretty intuitive. Just think about what a caveman's life was and reflect on it on your own life. You'll see many changes, many differences, right? And some are not bad, some are not good, right? So some can be worked with and they have literally no effect on your life. Like living inside close quarters, that's fine. That can be okay. But again, what the problem in that is, a caveman wouldn't live in a cave for like 8 to 9 hours a day, right? They would be mostly outside, if not like maybe half, they half the day they're outside, half the day they're inside, and that's fine. But they are outside, and most of our human lives are basically just us being inside, and that's just not good for you. Oh God, this changed. All right. So, right, that's the difference that you should gap, right? There is, uh, you can't do it perfectly for sure because it's like you can't be outside in the sun, under the grass, or above the grass, be like literally like 7 to 8 hours a day that you just cannot do. So you can try to make small adjustments, small changes that lead you down that. So basically, when you wake up, You can go outside before you go have lunch. You go outside, take a walk, maybe go into a park or something, lay down there, walk or something, read a book there or whatever. Just stay around the environment for a second or for a while. So that's one change you can make yourself. But like, yeah, try to have that time that is spent, right? So the first one would be this environment that you time to spend time. Like that, oh my god, that should be English. So like the environment that you spend time in, right? So basically what a caveman was, either they used to be inside, they used to be either outside or inside, right? So basically it's a cave right here, and on the other hand, it's grass, right? So what this comes out to be is basically the second one would be definitely how they used to spend their time. So the second one would be community, right? And the community is almost the most important, especially in today's times. It's so important because, as obvious as it may be, we're spending more and more of our times isolated, and I don't think that's something having to state at all. We are so isolated from each other. There is no community. We ignore each other, don't talk to each other. And that's something I personally feel so strongly. I can't emphasize it enough because I feel this personally, this urge, like whenever a person walks past me, like a person that I should be knowing, like someone, a neighbor or something, I feel this strong, this urge, like, damn, I should be at least, um, um, at least acknowledging them, right? For greeting or something, but it just doesn't appear. And I don't get it from them as well, right? So it's a universal thing. I don't do it and they don't do it to me, right? On that's like a 90% race rate, right? So it's just this gap and this very strong feeling. I feel that no, this isn't wrong. This shouldn't be happening, right? And it does happen, unfortunately. And you have to do it yourself to bridge that gap. By the way, start to greet people, start to have build communities, start to be active in communities, start to make friendships, start talk more often. Actually try to understand people and listen to people and give your opinions as well, talk your talk and stuff. And really don't stop yourself from all that stuff. Like just go out of the comfort zone because it's so comfortable to, be there. Even though for me personally it's so uncomfortable, in fact. It's like this avoidance, right? You want to do something, but you feel so uncomfortable doing it. But at the same time, you feel uncomfortable not doing it as well. So it's just this strong, this impossibility in it, which is for my case. I'd like to know if you face the same thing as well. But build communities, man. Do it. If you cannot, go out and do it. It's really, if you just stay at it for a while, will just not be that hard. Like I know how it feels, right? Maybe just not build a community, right? You don't have to do it yourself. You just go out there. You go out, get in a gym or something. You go out in some martial art training or whatever. If you want to go physical, maybe join a reading club, book club, or whatever, and maybe little step outside and see what's there. Maybe join some classes for something. It's just be somewhere, and I know personally that is the main differentiator, right? Just not having that space, the third space where you can just do something else that's not work and that's not leisure. That third space is what changes almost everything because it gets socializing up. It changes your environment as well because the environment is basically it does not when there is a social environment, like the artificial environment. that you're in, it really does not matter much there because you're with people, and that's a big factor in itself. Um, that's basically it. That's the second one. That's the community part of things. The first one is environment. Second was the community. And in environment, there's a physical place and there's a what we would call um uh, a work environment where you what you do and stuff, where you are and what you do. And what you do is like almost as important as as the community part because it encompasses almost all of your day. The what you do part. So this is like really important, man. And what this is basically, this has more stuff to deal with because you're in front of computers all day. You can't stay away from computers, right? And computers are like a non-negotiable part of all of our lives, and like just replacing them is really hard. But really, you should try to do it. Like, so like, what should you try to do first of all? Let's start out. Like, first of all, is definitely get rid of your phone, and that is like almost if you're from that part of the internet, this is something you've heard 10,000 times, and I get that, and it's really hard to do it. I myself have not been able to yet do it, but you should always keep your efforts at it. Try to minimize your screen usage. Try to minimize the, like all the factors that affect you, maybe your sleep, maybe your mood. Get the social medias out of it. Get the social medias out of the way. Because yesterday itself, I reinstalled Instagram for whatever purpose. Like I reinstalled it and I went down the Reels rabbit hole, right? So you just keep on scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, doom scrolling basically, right? And it felt so horrible. I can't even emphasize it enough. It felt like I was in hell because not only the doom scrolling aspect, but the content as well. It's so horrid. There is no limits to it anymore, and that's so vile to be because there was little nudity there. Nudity is the tip of the iceberg there. By the way, there was some like, there is uncensored gore there. There's little deaths happening there, and I would not recommend because after that I felt so exhausted, so overwhelmed. Right, I installed it right away. It's like, damn, bro, that's not a place to be in, and that's somewhere people stay at for long times, for hours and hours daily. By the way, and that's just incredibly bad. It's just I wouldn't be there for an hour, man, anymore. But there are people that are there for. Come on, you've got to be better than this, right? So just being like, like tackling the technology usage is basically you cannot do it fully. That's something I accept, and you should challenge it from time to time. By the way, don't accept any limitation. You should try and push it and try to see where you go and where you fail. You try again. But something you should accept from the get go is that it's going to be very hard, right? So technology is basically what your phones are, maybe your laptops, right? And you should try and limit the screen time that you use on it. And that's something obviously very well many of us have done already. But I'll repeat, you have to keep your efforts at it, man. Because if you give in, you're just you're gone already. You don't give in to this. Because this is a game that's actively played against you, by the way. These are this is like a fight against and for your mind. It's against you and it's for your mind as well. Like that's so terrorizing almost, and that's just the reality of things. That's unfortunate, really, but that's just what it is. And just because that's what it is. That's why you have to fight against it every day. And who knows, maybe there will be a victory. Maybe there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe not, but that's what it is. That's, you have to fight against it because it will never stop. Unlike, unless you don't, you just don't have to give. And that's just what I'm saying. So it's basically just try to limit the time that you spend on these, all right? And have the active effort against it. All in the time, but where you spend the time as well, what you spend time on, how, like where you spend time as well, because well, you should not be just in one place when you're using technology. It's just move a lot, move often, all right? The second is what work you do, right? So the work that you basically do is inside of these phones and laptops almost all the time. So again, categorize your work and try to stay like take breaks often and stuff. Right. This is what all of it was. This was my take on being like a caveman and what you can do for it, what the benefits are and stuff. And try to bridge the gap of the real gap that exists right now, which is really bad, honestly. But yeah, this was it. Hope you understood something from this. If nothing, that's fine as well. You could rewatch it if you didn't understand anything. If you want something more, maybe comment down. I'll respond therefore.